When you hear the sound of the bell, you know you in the championship rounds with King Amin of Essex. And as I keep growing with the sport, through the sport, this is my contribution to the sport. I'm here with women's boxing is my wheelhouse. Everybody knows this. So I'm here with a champion, somebody that is very recognized within women's boxing on a very casual level, which helps to gain a sport recognition. I'm talking about Las Vegas born and bred champion Czarina McCoy.
Hi.
All right. Now, I want to clear up a few things. What's the biggest misconception about being born and raised in Vegas?
Okay. Well, I was not born here.
Okay,
I
pardon
will
me.
say that. I moved here from Georgia
Okay.
when I was 11. But what I will say is that the biggest, I feel like, misconception about being here a really long time is that people often tend to think that you're not really goal orientated.
Mm,
And I think that's because most people aren't. Um, or I guess maybe most older generations here aren't,
sure.
because they moved out here from other places, with that party mindset or that, get rich quick mindset. Like they moved from wherever they were at with that in mind, like, oh, I'm gonna go to Vegas because it's easier.
Mm,
Uh, but growing up in Vegas, or I have friends that were born and raised here, it's not like that. Like you're around it all the time. It makes you less likely to be a part of it all the time, if that makes sense. Like it's so easy and so accessible that you don't even really want to do it as much as you could.
it seems too common. The glitz and the
Hmm.
glamour, all that seems too common.
Yeah, and when you live here, you really get to see how ugly Vegas is. Vegas
Mm.
is only pretty in the nighttime. It's very pretty in the nighttime. The lights and the big buildings and all the shows. When it's the daytime, Vegas is ugly. We're in the middle of the desert. All the buildings are the same color because of the heat. It's old and it's dusty out here. Like, it is not pretty in the daytime. Like, all that, beauty and, lights and stuff that you see on TV, you only see that at nighttime. You ever notice it only look like that at night?
They only show Vegas at night
They
most of,
only show
right?
Vegas at night because
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
daytime, it's ugly out here.
Well, you make a great point because I want to make a point about a fighter who I believe is born and bred, or at least he calls Vegas his home, Ishe Smith. And you make such an interesting point about things seeming pretty, but it ain't. And Ishe Smith, when I think of Las Vegas and when I think of fighters, he comes to mind because he was one of the first fighters that kind of stood out and said, like, this boxing shit wasn't easy for me. I've been
Mhm.
through trials and tribulations, and in order for me to get to this moment, it took more than what y'all could see. So
Mhm.
thank you for making that point. And again, Vegas, Vegas gonna claim you because you were champ. So I don't know what Georgia
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah. Well, Vegas is where I started boxing. So,
Mm,
I never claim that I'm from here because I'm not. I'm proud of my roots and where I come from. You know what I'm saying? I'm proud that I, was from, or that I was raised there and I was from there before we moved here, because it taught me a lot about respect of others and the Southern hospitality way. People lack that a lot out here. So I always I'm always quick to be like, oh yeah, no, I'm from Georgia. But Vegas is where, I started boxing, where I've had my whole boxing career.
tell
So
us about that because that's
I
what I want to know. What was it about Vegas or you getting out there? How did that spark?
So from what my dad told me, we actually were not supposed to stay in Vegas. We were just here for a little bit and then we were supposed to go to California. But then I started boxing, and once I think I made the decision that I wanted to turn it into a career, we ended up staying because Vegas is the fight capital of the world. Everybody comes here for boxing. and we were already here. It didn't make any sense for me to leave.
Yeah. And your dad was an instrumental part in that?
Yeah, of course. Like my dad's been there literally from the first day that I accidentally walked into the boxing gym. You know,
Now let me ask you, because you're a southpaw,
I am.
natural or converted?
No, natural.
Okay,
I'm
okay,
naturally left-handed.
okay, wow. Because a
Yeah.
lot of people when they get they're converted because, I don't think, and tell me if I'm wrong. Does being a southpaw kind of lend you more towards an offensive style because of the awkwardness, or do you find yourself playing a bit more defensive than one would expect from a southpaw?
I think when I was in the amateurs, I was a little more defensive, because I didn't like getting hit. Like I wasn't comfortable with getting hit. So I didn't. Like I'ma do whatever it takes to not get hit. Imma get in, Imma get right back out.
Yeah.
Like there's no hitting me. It was hit and I get hit all day long. Now that I'm pro, I'm a little bit more comfortable with the concept that you're in there, you're gonna get hit.
Yeah.
Like it's inevitable that someone, someday, somewhere is gonna rock your shit. Excuse my language, but
No,
they're
go
gonna rock
ahead.
your shit. Like it is what it is. Like you have to be prepared to take that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, don't open yourself up to it, but it always expect it to happen at some point. So I'm a little bit more comfortable with being like in there. And I would say like instead of like as a southpaw, it's being either defensive or offensive. I'd say it opens up a lot of opportunities for counter punches.
Yeah.
Like I feel like for me, I've never had a problem with counter punching. Like my whole career, I've never had a problem with it, because I'm southpaw. But it's kind of weird growing up in like the sport because when I first started, they hated it when they found out I was a southpaw. They were like, "Would you feel comfortable learning right-handed?" And I was like, "No, I'm not right-handed." And they hated it. But like now, I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm southpaw." They're like, "Oh my god, that's so cool." And I'm like, dang, where was this energy when I started? Everybody was hating.
Well, you learn to do a lot of things because you're a five-time national champ. Yeah. So what was it about? You said earlier on, you said when you were an amateur, you didn't like to get hit, but you sure was doing something.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just a straight boxer when I was in the amateurs.
Okay.
I didn't like to sit down on my punches because I didn't like to be in there.
Yeah.
I don't like to be in the mix. You're not gonna hit me. Like I just didn't want to get hit. I'd come in, give you a flurry, and I'm out. Like I'm out of there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'd go all the way to the other side of the ring, move around, mostly around, and come right back. Boom, 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 and I'm out again. You're not touching me if you don't have to. Like I couldn't stand to get hit when I was in the amateurs. Like they're like, Serena, you gotta like get in there, sit down on your punches. You missed so many opportunities, and I'm like, listen, no, like, it was just simply like no, and there was no explanation. Like I'm a piece of work. I'll be the first to admit. Like my coaches have not had it easy with me, especially when I was younger. Like I was no. It was like if this is working, what I need to change it for. But now that I'm in the pros, it's a lot different now. I'm like, all right, gotta sit down in there. I gotta actually become a boxer puncher. I gotta start using my power. Like I was real skinny in the amateurs. I was like 100
Yeah.
pounds.
You was what, 105 to
I was
114 in amateurs.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was real small in the amateurs. So it was like, I had just that limber, lanky look, and it was like real easy for me to get in, get out.
It's like
Uh,
this.
yeah, I was literally like beep, 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 and I was out. Like there was just all length. But now that I've like got my grown woman body and I filled out a little bit and I'm a little bigger now, I realized how strong I was. I was like, I started gaining weight. I started hitting people like in sparring and stuff, and I'm like, dang, I don't remember hitting this hard. Or like, I'm doing mitts with my coach and he's like, he's hurt, like I'm hurting him. And I'm like, I like this. This is
Now,
nice.
let's talk about that. You turned pro in 2019.
Hmm.
Was that because I want to ask you, do you, because for fighters, fighter life is difficult. you can't just live like it's not what people think. It ain't
Yeah.
Vegas. It ain't the glitz and the glamour. It's taxes. It's paying trainers. It's nutrition. It's things that have to happen. Was
Yeah.
that decision difficult, or did you have like another what I want to do when I grow up kind of pulling on you?
So honestly, what I will say is that, and I don't tell many people this, sometimes I do, but I typically don't. Turning pro was a hard decision for a couple reasons. When I initially decided I wanted to make boxing a career, it was to go to the Olympics. That was my goal. I wanted to go to the Olympics. Um, that's what I had been working for all those years. That was the whole point of me turning into a tournament kid, only hitting tournaments, being on Team USA. It was for the Olympics. Around the time I was in the amateurs, the president of USA Boxing got fired for being involved in like drugs. Like he was like a drug lord or something, and he was like laundering the money through USA Boxing events. And they were like, we don't even know if we're gonna let USA compete in the Olympics.
Wow.
And it was like, we'll let you guys know by April. And then April came around and they're like, well, we still don't know, but like you guys keep fighting, like we're gonna go. And then like it was like the end of summer and they were like, yeah, we still don't have an answer, but like, you guys could compete some more. And for me, it was like, you know, all that tournament stuff is so expensive. Like nobody pays for that.
Yeah.
Like my dad's fitting the bill for all of that. Every hotel, every food, every rental car, every flight, like everything. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm grown now. I graduated high school early. I was already starting college. I was like, am I really going to make him pay for all this boxing stuff or am I just going to turn pro? And then I was going through a lot of things personally and I was just like kind of getting to that point that you get to growing up in this sport where you feel like you've sacrificed your whole childhood
Mm.
because I didn't get to do what other kids got to do. I didn't get to go to the movies. I didn't get to go to the mall. I didn't get to hang out with my friends. I didn't get to do sleepovers. It was school and gym and nothing else. And it was like I had no homecoming, no prom, no Sadies, no nothing. I had no high school experience. I had nothing really. And so I was to that point where I was like, God, I didn't even get to be a kid. I gave my everything to this sport, and like the one thing that I really wanted probably won't even happen now. And it's like, I quit.
Damn.
I did a tournament in Chattanooga, Tennessee, 2018, the end of 2018, I believe it was October. I won in the finals with a TKO, and then I quit. I was like, I'm done. My dad was gonna literally, he found like this really, really cheap spot out here. He was gonna buy me my own gym so I could have my own gym and everything. And I was like, don't do it because I quit. I'm done. And I left boxing for not a long time, but it's a long time in boxing, like time, like I think after that tournament, I stopped until maybe February of 2019. February. So it was like as soon as October was over, that it was like maybe end of October was the tournament. And then I did not get back in the gym until February of 2019.
Mm.
And I was done. I was like, no, I'm good. I was like, I've been through too much already in the short amount of time that I've been boxing. Like I started competing at 12. I'm like I'm about to be 18. Because my birthday's in January. So I was about to turn 18 after my last tournament. I was like, I'm done. I quit. But then I left and I was like, oh, the gym. And I was like, nah, I quit. And then I was like, oh, boxing. I was like, nah, 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 nah. I was like, oh, but I missed it. And I was like, okay, I'll come back. Why not? And so my dad was like, all right, well, you're coming back. So what do you want to do? You want to stay amateurs or you want to turn pro? And I was like, I'm pretty fed up. I was pretty fed up with USA Boxing. there's a lot of stuff that's like really, really bad with USA boxing. I was really fed up with it already as it was, which kind of contributed to me quitting for like that little time. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go pro. Why not? Um, and honestly, that was probably the best decision I could have made for my career. I believe like going pro when I did was like a really good decision for me.
Now you mentioned Olympics, but did you see women's at that time? Did you see women's boxing as a part of the landscape? Did you see it growing, or was your mind strictly on Olympics?
So for me, it was strictly Olympics all the way up until I came out of like my temporary retirement. Like I did not see the pros. It wasn't in my line of sight. I mean, I knew that I wanted to do it, but it wasn't anything that I considered, that I thought about, that I looked into. It was Olympics, 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 Olympics. I quit. I came back. I was like, what's going to be the best move for my life? What's going to be the best decision? 'Cause I don't even know if we're going to be able to be in the Olympics. And I was like, I don't want to put my dad through another year paying for tournaments just to win and find out we not going to the Olympics. And then I was like, so I'm just going to turn pro. I turned pro 6 months before the lockdown.
Wow.
Well, I turned pro before then, but I had my first pro fight 6 months before lockdown. And then I believe I want to say I fought 2 or 3 times before lockdown. And then I was fighting in lockdown. Like I fought all throughout lockdown. I didn't get a break. Everybody else got a break. Everybody else got to sit down and get fat. I was training out the garage. I was fighting in Mexico every 2 weeks, every month. I was
Right.
going to Mexico.
Riding in on horses, though. You were doing some things. So,
I definitely was. I definitely was. Like it was good. Like I ultimately like I look back and I'm like, that was like the best time in my pro career. Like I was just getting off the ground, but everybody else was chilling. I was out the garage training. I was going to Mexico every couple of weeks. I was living my best life. Like I'm not
listen,
gonna lie.
if I had to compare it to hip hop, it was kind of like an Eve moment of
It was.
who's that girl, who's that, like
Yeah,
you kind of like
it was.
bloomed
Yeah.
out of nowhere.
Because everybody's just kind of like, lockdown ended and I'm over here. Like, I believe when lockdown ended, I was already a good like 5 or 6 fights
Yeah.
into my pro career. And everybody's like, what? And like, when did this happen? Like, and I was like, I've been working.
So let's talk about some of that work. 6 professional titles and 4 weight classes, champ.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, Only one loss in your professional career. And I want to ask you something because I felt like what you told me thank you for sharing that experience of giving up on boxing and then coming back prepared you from bouncing back. But how does a fighter, because we seen some of us seen what happened over the weekend, a big name fighter, everybody's high on you, Sebastian Fundora, and not only what the people say, for yourself, how do you deal with that and say this is a bump in the road because I've been here, or is it something that you really have to fight back from just like anything else?
Um, it's a little difficult to answer the question because the loss I have on my record was really just politics. Um, the girl I fought, they set me up. Honestly, like that's like the most I could say. We work really closely with specific promoters in Mexico.
Hmm.
Um, at the last minute, they didn't tell us until we got to the venue and everything that, they were working with another promotion company for that card. Um, and that other promotion company brought in the girl that I fought. Her coach was the friend with the commission of that little city. And basically when we ended up looking into it with a new promoter, the promoter that we had been working with, Rio's Promotions, they went and they looked into it because after the fight, and you guys can find this fight on YouTube, it's somewhere on YouTube. After this fight, we asked commission to review the tape to overturn the decision because it just wasn't right. and everybody knew it. Even the promoter that set up, like that initially set up and put me on the card, he was even upset because it was just not the right call. But the commission refused to look at the tape, refused to even touch it. So my new promoter, he went, he looked into it, and basically the answer that they gave us was, we're tired of that American coming down here and beating our girls. So we put a loss on our record. And unfortunately, that just comes with the sport. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have 4 losses on my record in the amateurs, and each one of those losses, I could definitely say was politics. So I think like being in the amateurs prepared me for a disappointment. But unfortunately, when you go to another country and you go and you're consistently, winning in their country, like no matter how many people like you out there, there's always going to be
Somebody wants
people.
to teach you a lesson.
Yeah, always going to be someone who wants to teach you, like, hey, like we still run things here.
Hmm.
And that's fine, like, I think for me it was a lot easier to deal with because I know that I won.
Sure.
And um but I am used to disappointment. I think my first time, like, getting a political loss, that's what I call it, getting a political loss on my record in the amateurs was hard. I was disappointed.
And I mean, we've seen one of the biggest, moments of that. Let's go back to your favorite, the Olympics, Floyd Mayweather. He
Mhm.
didn't lose in the
Oh.
96, and it was enough for him. Shakur, too. These
Mhm.
men, and I got a funny saying. I say, yo, I respect men that cry in public. I respect men that cry in the ring. And somebody said, what are you talking about? Nah, nah, nah. And I said, what it means is you wear your heart on your sleeve. No matter if it's Danny Garcia coming back from what he went through to fight Benavidez Jr. I respect crying in public. People can say what they want. You know what I'm saying? Because that's wearing your heart on your sleeve. So, I'm
Right.
not asking if you cry, but I'm saying I know that can burn worse when you say to yourself, and I really didn't lose in the
Yeah.
first damn place.
I'm gonna be honest, like, I did not cry that time. I think the first time I ever got a political loss in the amateurs, I did. I cried like a baby. Like, I was so upset. I was like, wow, like at the time, a record was important to me.
Sure.
Now that I'm grown and I've been in this sport like a long time, I don't care about no record. Like, at the end of the day, I know what I do and I know how good I am. And I know I didn't lose. There ain't no point in crying. And honestly, I was, I want to say I knew it was gonna happen, if that makes sense. But I had hope
Hmm.
that they wouldn't do me like that. Because I had built up such a reputation in Mexico, that I had hoped that reputation would hold up enough that they wouldn't do me like that. But there was a lot of reasons why I felt like they were going to before I even stepped in the ring. And why the reason why I say that is, like, we were there all night. We got there 5 p.m. We didn't fight until midnight. We were
Playing
there
games.
all night long. That girl ain't get up one time. She sat in a chair for 6 hours. She ain't stretch. She ain't shadow box. She ain't do nothing. She sat down with her legs kicked out, big chillin'
Mm.
all night long. And I thought that was weird. I was like, you're so lax. There's no getting ready, no warming up. Like, you just sitting there on the chair, like, her coach nowhere to be found. Like, she chilling. Like, she don't got a care in the world. Like, she not about to, come out here and fight,
And have to
you
work.
know? And I'm like, I thought that was weird, but I was like, whatever, maybe she's just overly confident. And I just kept getting these looks from, like, people that was working there. The judges kept getting these looks from the commission's table. And I'm like, and I'm bringing it up to my dad. And he's like, what's wrong? Like, you never act like this. You never say anything like this. And I'm like, no, I'm just saying, I'm just saying, I'm just saying. But it's like being independent, like, who's fitting the bill for all this travel?
Yeah.
My dad. You know what I'm saying? We already out here. But I mean, and obviously my dad always backs me up. He's like, if you want to leave, we can leave right now. You don't even got to get in the ring. But me, I'm over here like, you just spent all this money on flights and hotel and, getting me out here so that I can fight, so I can perform. What I look like leaving? So I'm gonna go do what I came out here to do. I'm gonna go do what I've been training to do. But it was just I had this gut feeling, and it's like, boxing is always gonna be about trusting your gut, and I should've. Like, when he said we could go, we shoulda left, honestly. Like, in my gut, I felt like something was wrong, and I was telling him that for a hot minute. I was like, "Something is not right here. I don't feel right." I was calling my coaches, I was like, "I don't feel normal. Like, I don't feel like I usually feel when I'm here, like, to fight, when I'm, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's just nerves, it's just nerves, it's just nerves." Um, so when it happened, I kind of had already geared myself towards it. And not only that, but like when they announced it, like if you go watch the tape, they took a hot minute to say it. They're like, the winner is, hmm.
They wasn't
Like, they
sure.
were even like, "What is this?" You know what I'm saying? And it's like that long pause. I was like, "Oh, I already knew what it was gonna be." I was like, "Alright." I wasn't upset, but I think, like, with any person, especially being in the sport of boxing, you have to be competitive. I think, like, seeing your bigger picture is always gonna keep you going. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you did actually lose a fight. It's a minor setback to a major comeback. You didn't spend all these years and all this time in the gym working hard and blood, sweat, and tears just to quit because you lost one time.
Hmm.
Some of the best lost. Muhammad Ali got knocked out, got his jaw broke. Like, Mike Tyson got knocked out. Sugar Ray Leonard, Sugar Ray Robinson, they got beat up time and time again. But they're the best of the best. You know what I'm saying? Like Manny Pacquiao, it got lost, it got knocked out a few times. You know what I'm saying? But like they still got up and they went back and they have like the best of the best. They have little kids who look up to them, who want to fight like them, who want to be like them, and they ain't care about no record. And I feel like that's like something that boxers don't, remind themselves. Like they look at Floyd and they're like, oh, well, he's 50-0, he's undefeated, and like, his record is perfect, and that's the standard. But it's not. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely not, because when it
It's
comes to
like that's what he did. That's him. That's how he paved the way for himself. You can still be the best of the best without, having a perfect record. I still think I'm the best of the best. And I got a political loss on my record, and that's fine. Because I also got 6 titles at 22.
and not only that, I think it's that people like to use the O with Floyd. I hate that too. Like it doesn't mean anything except for marketing, because
Yeah.
legends fight on, and
Mhm.
that's in life, in the ring and out of the ring. And that's for me what boxing is just not. I'm never gonna say a fighter is the best when I look at his record. I'm gonna
Mhm.
look at the wins and the losses and the experience he has and
Yeah.
understand how he might have gotten to that opportunity. So I don't know, man. I
I
think
hate
that
when people are like that too. They're like, "Well, my record has," I'm like, "Forget your record. Focus on your mission, bro. Like you're here to butt. You're not here to look perfect. Who cares if dude knocked you out 2 weeks ago? Get back in the gym.
absolutely.
Knock him out in the rematch. Like you gonna just never fight the man again because he knocked you out? Get back in there. Like if you got it and you know you could have prevented that, go show him.
And
It's easy.
that's what I'm here to do, champ. I'm here to show people. Thank you for your time. I want you to give your social media, tell the people where they can find you, and any other information you want to give us, to keep the people tapped in.
Okay, well, I appreciate you for having me. I'm so grateful. This was fun. This was so fun. This was like, I feel like this was really comfortable, really casual. It was less like uptight. Like I feel like we go back and forth. So that's good. I'm super excited. I just signed with Split T Management, working with Brian Cohen. So I'm excited to, get a fight date, for you guys to share for everybody. And this will be my first fight signed under them. And I'm excited to do work with Brian and, everything like that. And I feel like this is like a new chapter in my career that I'm excited to like dive into and to share with everybody and for everybody to be a part of. I want to thank you. I want to thank, all my supporters. Like, I do this for me, but I wouldn't be here without y'all. So I definitely do appreciate like the support, the constant support, the love. And yeah, so my social media is Czarina McCoy and Czarina McCoy 2. Czarina McCoy 2, number 2 is where all my boxing is. Czarina McCoy on Instagram. That's my personal, where you can like get to know me a little bit more as a person. I have Facebook, Twitter, 2 Instagrams. It's all Czarina McCoy. And then anybody who's interested in looking at fights or any interviews that I may have, you can just look me up on YouTube. They're all over everywhere. So yeah, that's pretty much how you keep up with me.
And definitely check out her lives. I caught her in one of her lives getting sturdy.
Yeah, check out my lives. I be getting lit live. I get on live and I'll just dance, or I'll do a fashion show if I ordered some new clothes. So get on my live. I'll be acting like I'm an influencer, but I should be bored.
Nah, listen, Chet, I really appreciate your time. Ladies and gentlemen, the Black Rose, Czarina McCoy, join me in the championship rounds. I got some good sparring. I think I survived the champ. Y'all gonna
You
let us know.
did. You
Okay.
did. You survived the whole 12 rounds. You was like, let's go 15. And I was like, nah, we agreed to 12.
Old school. She knows her boxing, ladies and gentlemen. Salute, champ. Thanks for joining me. We in the championship rounds. We out of here.